actually found this 100% silk blouse at the bins and retails for $268, and I was determined to save it. So my first round of stain treating was only focused on the black stain on the sleeve. Honestly, I did not pay close enough attention to how stained this blouse actually was. I completely missed the pink stains on the back and the yellow stains on the front. The good news is I was able to remove the black stain successfully, and I learned a lot in the process. But after the first round of stain treatment, I also ended up with watermarks, which was super frustrating. And once everything fully dried, I noticed there was still a ton of yellow stains left behind. So now I am going to show you how I removed the yellow stains in this video, as well as some small pink stains. And I'm actually really impressed because the Outback wash and conditioner helped lift most of the pink marks on the back, but it didn't remove them all, as you'll see. So I wanted to share what I've learned, what to do and what not to do. Here are the two products I am going to be using on this blouse: a stain treating solution and a wash. Okay, first we are going to apply the stain solution on all stains on the blouse. So I'm applying it here in the front, as well as some stains on the back. And I am lightly, very lightly scrubbing, actually just really sudsing up the solution. So be very gentle. On my next stain treating on silk, I am actually going to try blotting to see if that helps. But this, what I did here, it did not ruin any of the fibers. So just gently, if you do use a brush, do it very gently. Don't scrub hard. Now, I did also notice that there is some pink staining up here that we are also going to stain treat. Applying the stain solution to the pink stain by the collar actually took out the stain completely, so I didn't have to do another round of stain treating, so that was really nice. It was an easy stain, so that's great. So I know these ones here in the front, these are probably going to take a few rounds. Oh yeah, here's a big one here. I'm going to apply some stain solution. Now, this does have a few flaws that I personally cannot fix, but I also feel like they are not too big of a flaw. It's still wearable. So it does have like a little bit of a hole starting here, but I still will try to sell it and see if it sells. I think this will be an awesome piece for Valentine's Day, and that's coming up soon. So I really want to see if I can get this clean. Oh yeah, here's another stain on the sleeve. Okay, so I am going to let these soak for a little while. I'll let you know exactly how long I do. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, here it is after the first pre-soak. It's looking pretty good actually, but I'm gonna give it a rinse, and these ones are probably going to need another round of pre-stain. Okay, let's see how it does. It might need one more treatment for this one, but I think the ones up here have disappeared. So I'll see you back in about a half hour-ish. I am getting some ink bleed through here. So I'm gonna probably stain treat that too. I'm not sure. Maybe I should put like something underneath here. Let me grab a towel. The stains up here look like they are pretty much gone. I do not see any stains. Still just a very, very faint mark here. I'm just going to apply some more. I'm a little annoyed that this color kind of bled through, but hopefully the towel underneath will help. But it looks like it's taking that color right away that bled through, so that's great. Okay, I'll see you back in another 30-ish minutes. Now we are going to soak this for 3 to 5 minutes in this wool wash and conditioner. This is safe to use on silk fabrics. It does say that on the back of the bottle. This is also fragrance free, and a little bit goes a very long way. Okay, I have a little tote here filled with cold water. It has to be cold. And then over here it says a teaspoon, which is half a capful per gallon of water. This probably is not a gallon, but we're rolling with it, okay. So now I am just pouring actually a little bit less than half of a capful, just because I know I don't have that much water in here, and then you're going to want to stir in the detergent. So I'm just going to place this blouse in here, and it says that no rinse is necessary, so max I'm just gonna leave it in here 3 minutes. Just get it soaked so that it can get nice and conditioned and super soft. This is what's gonna make it come back to shiny, silky feeling. Once it is done soaking, you are going to want to dump the water out, but it is very important not to wring or twist your silk fabric when it is wet, especially when it's wet. You just don't want to damage the fabric. I know, it's not pretty, but it works, okay. All right, now you are going to want to lay down a towel, a dry towel, and lay this out. So now I'm going to just take this smaller towel and I'm going to put it in between these two layers, so inside the shirt. So now you're going to take your towel and roll it up like a little burrito. So now you are going to gently press on the towels. This is going to help remove the excess water and also prevent watermarks. After this is done drying, I'll come back and we'll look at the blouse again. Hey you guys, so what do you think of the final result? How do you think I did? Was this a success or was this a waste of my time? Or what could I have done differently? Let me know in the comments down below. But this was a huge learning experience, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to try it on a silk bins piece, just to test out some things that would work and things that wouldn't work. I feel completely confident cleaning and stain treating silk now, and I thought this was the perfect piece because it's literally black and white, and I was able to test it on stains and bleed through and watermarks, so I thought this was so perfect to learn on. Now, there are lots of do's and don'ts that I have written down on my phone that I am going to go through. Obviously, you can also take it into a dry cleaner, but if you wanted to save some money, this is a good option, especially if you find something at the bins. Okay, so what are some do's and don'ts? First, let's get into the don'ts. What not to do when you are stain treating silk. Do not rinse under a running water or faucet like I did in this video. When the water pressure hits unevenly on silk, it pushes the stain around and can cause bleed through, which is what you saw happen. And it also causes the water rings. Also, do not scrub the stain aggressively. I did have a little tool, a little brushing tool that I used, but I hardly applied any pressure, if any at all. I'm gonna try it next time where I don't scrub it, see if scrubbing actually helps, but you do not want to scrub the stain hard and aggressively because it can damage the silk. Also, after you soak your piece, you do not want to wring or twist the silk. That can cause stretching and warping and leave permanent creases or distortions. I didn't do that with this piece. I just know because silk is such a delicate fabric, you do not want to be so aggressive with it. Also, do not use hot water. I used only cold water because if you use hot water, there's a higher chance of bleed through, the dye bleeding and setting certain stains. So definitely use cold water. Also, something I've learned is that you do not want to hang dry when it's soaking wet or when it's just wet, because the water can run downwards and you'll have dry lines and leaving annoying little drip marks or watermarks. So definitely do not hang dry. My next don't is do not use harsh cleaners like OxyClean, bleach, strong enzyme stuff. Like, do not use those on silk. Those can strip the dye and weaken the silk fibers really quickly. So just be careful with what you use. Always check the label, see if you are able to use it on silk. So the particular product that I use, and I'll link it down below, you can use it on silk, but you always want to be very careful and make sure you read the directions or if it can be used on silk or not. So, and I always do everything in fragrance free. That is just a personal preference of mine. I do not like my things smelling like perfume. I'm very sensitive to that kind of stuff. You definitely don't want to use the harsh cleaners because it will end up ruining your silk piece. And my last don't is do not throw it in the dryer, because the heat can set those stains and making it super hard to even get out and ruin the texture and the shine of the silk. So definitely do not put in your dryer. All right, now that we covered the don'ts of what not to do, let's get into what we should do. Do blot the stain, do not rub, because the fibers are very delicate. Rubbing can rough them up and spread the stain bigger. But like I said, the brush that I was using, I was very lightly scrubbing. I am going to test that on another silk piece, see if lightly spinning the solution or if blotting will help. Also, always put a towel underneath the stained area, because then that towel will act like a sponge and pull the stain and water down. This was another mistake that I did. I did not put a towel in between or inside of the shirt as I was stain treating, because I did have stains on the front and back. That was a mistake because some of the bleed through also got on the back, but as you see, I was successfully able to get the bleed through out. But always put a towel underneath the stained area or in between the layers. Also, do use cold water because the warm and hot water can loosen the dye and make color bleed, especially on darker silks. Do rinse in a cold water bath. Do not rinse it under a running water, stream of water, or a faucet. Always fill a bowl or a tote like I did, fill it with cool water, pour the wash stuff in, the detergent, swish it around, and then dunk your silk piece into that solution, the cold water bath, because a bath rinse wets the blouse evenly, which prevents the water rings and the dye bleed through. So also wash the silk with a silk safe detergent, and I will link the one that I used down below. This is safe to use on silk, and I've used it twice now on this piece, and I absolutely love it. It makes it feel so incredibly soft. I highly recommend buying this detergent. A little bit goes a long way, and I've also used it on some wool pieces, and it really softens up the item. It's really nice detergent. If you do soak your piece like I did, do it for the max 3 to 5 minutes because silk doesn't need a long soak time. If you soak it too long, it can weaken the fibers. Again, silk is such a delicate fabric and it can encourage the dye movement to separate. Also, do towel press to remove excess water. Roll it up into a little burrito like I did in the video, and pressing down, it pulls water out safely without wringing. That is something that I've learned because when I first did my round of stain treating on the sleeve, the black mark on the sleeve, I hung dry it and I had no idea that I was not supposed to, so lesson learned. Do dry flat if you need to speed up the process. You can always blow dry on a cool setting, which is actually what I did to make sure I got most of the stains out. So drying flat prevents the drip lines, the tide marks. Do dry flat your silk pieces. Also, my last do or tip is to re-wet evenly if you get a water ring mark. So if you happen to have a water ring mark, you want to get the whole blouse wet again. I know it sounds kind of weird, but watermarks happen from uneven drying. So even wet plus even drying will fix it. So those are my little tips and tricks and what I've learned along the way on this whole process. And feel free to let me know down below if there's anything that I missed. Definitely leave it in the comments down below. I am so new to this and I'm trying to be better and learn more about stain treating and garment care, all of that fun stuff, so that I'm still very new. This is just something that I learned along the way, and I'm also so open to other suggestions, or if there's any other stain treating solution that you use, I would love to give it a try. How much do you think I can get for this blouse now that I've stain treated it and washed it, conditioned it, everything? How much do you think it's worth now? I know that yellow stain up in the front didn't go away 100%, but it's definitely not as noticeable as it was. So I'm very curious. How much do you think this will sell for, and if it will sell? Let me know in the comments. I will link those two products down below in the description box, so if you are interested, you can check those out. Okay, so if you saw my last bins video, I'll go ahead and link it above. I found this gorgeous vintage graphic crew neck sweater. Unfortunately, there is some staining here on the collar, and my next video I am going to try to get these stains out, see if I can do it. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited because I really like this sweater. I think it's so cute. That's going to be my next stain treating video, and if you have any tips and tricks for that one, just go ahead and leave it down below. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys learned something. I want to do more of these videos. I think they are fun, and I also enjoy saving things from the landfill, and I feel like a lot of people pass on these things at the bins because they don't want to take the time to either stain treat them, or they don't know how to stain treat them. So I want to be better about stain treating and all that fun stuff. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.